Hello students, my name is Mitchell and today I will be teaching about isolation and alienation. So here are the definitions of these two things. Isolation means to be separated from others, to be removed from society. And alienation is a withdrawing or separation of a person or person's affections from another object or position of former attachment. We see both of these definitions of isolation and alienation carried out in Maple and Vine and Slaughterhouse-Five. And what we know is that isolation and alienation, they can be the root cause of deeper issues and make issues worse, as we see in Maple and Vine, and can be an unhealthy coping mechanism, which we see with Billy Pilgrim in Slaughterhouse-Five. So first off, in Maple and Vine, our main characters, Ryu and Katha, feel isolated in their modern life situation. They have very little connection to their family, their coworkers, and especially their neighbors, which they complain about very early in the beginning of the book. Read a passage from page 8. Katha says, she's back. Ryu, who? Katha, she usually comes around during 2. Woman, why are you doing this to me? Ryu, she's right on time. Katha, it isn't funny. This is like the furthest I'll ever get from being at work. This is it. I should be having a dream. I should be somewhere else, but instead, I'm just here. This shows how Katha is really upset with her current living situation. She clearly doesn't enjoy work as she's trying to get away from it, but she also doesn't enjoy being at home because her and her husband, Ryu, have an issue with their neighbor, how they're always being loud late at night. They meet this man, Dean, who offers them an escape from society. They call it the Society of Dynamic Obsolescence, or the SDO. They offer it as an escape from the 21st century. The Society of Dynamic Obsolescence is this supposedly tight-knit group of people who act out an extremely realistic 1950s America. And it promises them especially a very close connection to the community. The first monologue for the LCO outlines why Dean thinks this is important, why they created it, and why it's something to be accepted. Dean says, it wasn't that the modern world was too fast or noisy. In a way, it was too quiet. Let me explain. In the 21st century, everything's pretty easy, right? You have your drive-through espresso, your drive-through pharmacy. Or why do you go to the store when you can get it online? You hardly have to interact with anyone, except for all those people you've never met who enter your life through your computer, pulling you every which way. In the 50s, it's different. In the 50s, you have to go to places. You have to talk to people. You pick up the phone to make a call, and there's an operator on the other end, and you say good morning. Or you say you want to find something out. You go down to the library. Miss Wilkes looks it up on the Dewey Decimals. There's a separate store for meat and fish and fruit, and a gent behind each counter who knows your name, a man who brings milk in the morning. And in the modern world, I used to make it through half a day without talking to a single soul. I used to have it so easy, and now looking back, I realize how lonely I was. Dean is telling them why everyone feels so isolated in the modern world, why they are unable to feel connected with all those around them. But what we realize is that living this lie is very strenuous on his relationship. We learned that Dean's real name is Jason before he was one of the leaders in the SDO. He's been living a lie. It's revealed early on in the book that Dean has a homosexual relationship that he hides from the community. He hides from his wife. And living this lie becomes too hard on him. Ellen says, Dean's real name. We were the class of 95 at Sarah Lawrence. We were roommates the last 2 years. After graduation, we moved to New York together. That's when he met Roger, his first boyfriend. Roger moved in, it seemed like overnight. Whenever they fought, Jason would come and talk to me, and I would listen to him. When Dean or Jason has to hide this relationship from everybody in his life in the SDO, it's too difficult. He can't balance who he is and who he wants to be, and he ultimately runs away. While Ryu and Katha decide to stay in the SDO, decide to stay here and raise their new child there, it begs the question, will they suffer the same fate? They haven't been there nearly as long as Dean has, or Jason. The other book that deals with the themes of isolation and alienation is Slaughterhouse-Five. Our main character, Billy Pilgrim, suffers from post-war trauma quite heavily as a survivor of the bombing of Dresden. Many describe this book as a look into the effects of PTSD, how one reacts to it, what one's coping mechanisms are. Billy has this non-linear view of time as taught to him by the alien species, the Tremalthadorians, and we can interpret that as painful flashbacks to the war that he has suppressed up until now. He sees life as pointless post-war because he did not receive the treatment he needed from the Veterans Hospital. And Billy, ultimately, he has a very strained relationship with his family, especially his daughter. He doesn't communicate with them. They don't really know nearly as much about what he experienced in the war. And at one point, Billy is trapped in this human zoo on the Tremalthadorian planet. This can be interpreted as an allegory that he's trapped in his own mind, that he's just living there. He has people who don't understand what he's been through. They don't understand what he's going to be going through for the rest of his life. And that is all. Any questions? Thank you very much.